Hey everyone, what's the difference between a journalist and a pundit? What's the difference between somebody who is responsible for producing the news in a more or less objective and balanced manner and somebody whose job it is to comment on it? That, in a nutshell, is what separates a journalist who should be concerned with what is true, what happened in a particular instance, and a pundit whose job it is to promote a particular point of view or a take on it is that what happened. There's a lot of other ways that we can separate this, and maybe a quick story will help. 2008, right when I was hired to be a professor at the College of Charleston, it was just before the Obama McCain election, and I was asked by Channel 2 News to go on and give regular commentary. I was asked to be a pundit. They were the journalists, I was the pundit, and I was there the night of the election. And as the results from North Carolina and South Carolina and all the other states were rolling in, I noticed, as most Americans did, that there was a pattern that Obama was winning, and that the more he won, the more difficult it was going to be for McCain to catch up in electoral votes. And so I said that, and I said that repeatedly on the air in what I thought was an objective manner. But there were lots of calls to the station saying that me and the other person who was saying the same thing, the other pundit that they had hired for that evening, were being biased, and that the newsroom was encouraging us to then dial it back a bit and give more pro McCain friendly readings of the data, which I thought was them inserting bias. In any case, in those instances, the journalists were responsible for promoting an objective, a balanced view of the news of the day. The news of that day was a consequential presidential election. And my job was to give an informed take. That's all it was. I was the pundit, they were the journalists. In many cases, though, there is not an academic who is a pundit. Is a pundit who is a writer, a pundit who is an industry professional, somebody who sells lots of stocks on Wall Street, if it's on CNBC or Fox Business, and so forth. It can be Pundits can come from lots of different walks of life. Here are the three things that really separate pundits from journalists. Or I should say, journalists from pundits. Number one, journalists all have a particular training. Many of them are communication majors or political science majors or business majors, but almost all of them go to graduate school. They get masters and professional masters in training in the art of practicing journalism. And in so doing, they have similar coursework. And they also are trained in the second thing, which is a similar method, which is cultivating sources, asking questions of sources, doing field research, and then asking for quotes on the other side of an issue. For instance, if they're writing something critical about the town of Mount Pleasant's government, then of course they're going to ask for quotes, not only from citizens, but also from the mayor of Mount Pleasant, other dignitaries, elected officials in Mount Pleasant. And the third thing that really differentiates a pundit from a journalist is the goal. Each of them is motivated by different goals. Pundits are asked to give a particular point of view or a take. So if I am a conservative and I'm hired by CNN to give the conservative viewpoint on whatever is happening in the Trump administration that day, then that is my job. My job is to promote myself, and then to promote myself as a proponent of a particular point of view about the Trump administration that will draw viewers. The job of the journalist is very different. The job of the journalist is to produce news in a way that gets A, noticed by the public, and B, gets esteem from fellow journalists and qualifies journalists for prizes like the Pulitzer Prize in journalism. There is no Pulitzer Prize for punditry.